Oh, I'm getting into the dancing groove.
I know. I didn't want the music to end.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing, bringing you back for another slice of social media pie. And very excited because I've got an awesome guest with me here today. Let me point in the right direction. Mark Struczewski. How are you doing today, sir?
I am awesome. I'm so excited here. That music got me all pumped up. I'm ready to go. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it is going to be an absolute blast having this conversation with you here today. And Mark is known as, look at this, let me see if I can get the ticker pointing right here, Mr. Productivity. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that term was coined by Jeff Young. Is that right?
It was.
Backstory? And Mark, when I brought you on the show here today, I'm going to put his LinkedIn URL on screen, guys, so you can see this. This is Mark's last name. Is this Polish? What is that?
Yes, very good. Okay. It is Polish.
And I'm Polish too. My maiden name was Zawacki. So whenever I was growing up, I never got it pronounced correctly. And Mark and I had a conversation early on, and I'm trying to remember, Mark, where we met. Do you remember when it was that we met or how we were introduced to each other? I don't remember.
I think I saw you post about the rock stars, and I wrote you and said, "Hey, can I be a rock star?" And I don't know if that's I think I'm a rock star. My wife thinks I'm a rock star. So, and now you think I'm a rock star, which is pretty cool.
I do. And it's funny because when I started the Rockstar list back in the day, I was hand selecting the people, and then I started taking, self-nominations, and then the list started growing. And then I started making a rule, no self-nominations, but every now and again, I get somebody like you reaching out to me who says, hey, how do I get added to the list? And I screen people. I actually use some criteria that Jeff Young helped me to kind of think through in terms of how do I add people to the list. But I look at your profile, look at your activity, and I kind of go, is this a giver? Is this a person who's promoting and supporting others? And is he posting good content? And I saw all of those things, and I'm like, yeah, we'll add you to the list. But when I invited Mark on the show, guys, I'm not, as a Polish person, this last name does not intimidate me at all. One reason, Mark, you and I had a phone call, and we were talking about there's a new field on the LinkedIn profile, it's the name pronunciation. Right? Where you can add in, have you used that voice thing where you add in the name pronunciation on there yet?
I have.
Yep. And then I also said, hey, what if you use some emojis in your name field to help people remember how to pronounce it? And I think you added those emojis in, didn't you?
I did. And it wasn't a phone call. You were actually on the Mark Struczewski podcast. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So chess key, the little chess symbol emoji and the little key symbol, that is how I remember how to pronounce correctly Mark's name. So that's the backstory there. So we're going to jump into this conversation here today, guys, and we're talking about your productivity is your responsibility. Before we do that, I want to say good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to all of you who are watching, whether you're watching us live right now on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. I would love it if you could please leave a comment below. Let us know where in the world you're watching us from. This also lets me know that the live stream is actually up and running. And I see we've got Kathy Brown on with us from LinkedIn. She's joining us from Southeastern Michigan. We've got Mary joining us from Houston. I'll continue to pop your comments, so leave them below. Let us know where you're watching from.
Houston's in the house. Yes, Houston's in the house.
Representing. And Mark, I'm in Southeast Michigan as well. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm in Houston, Texas. So I was getting shout out to the lady from Houston. Houston's a great place to live.
Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to jump into this conversation about productivity here today, guys. But what I'd like to do first, Mark, is could you take a few minutes, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Well, I am the only child. I think after my parents had me, they said, that's enough. We know he's a handful. We can't handle him. And I was kind of wandering through life. So I'm 55 years young now, and I didn't know what I wanted to be until I was fired from my job in July of 2005. So even when I was fired from my job, I decided to become an entrepreneur. Didn't know what I wanted to be an entrepreneur in. And so I tried wedding and portrait photography, didn't succeed in that. But one of the things that came out of that was I suddenly liked to talk in front of people. In high school and college, I didn't. And so I tried a bunch of different keynotes, didn't work. And one day I was on the phone with one of my coaches, and I was not having a good day, Brenda. And he goes, what's going on? I said, I really like to speak, but I don't know what to speak on. He goes, well, why don't you talk about productivity? I'm like, well, I don't know where that came from, but why would you say that? He goes, because I know a lot of people as a coach, and you're one of the most productive people I know. You should take that and share that with the world. And the rest, as they say, is history.
So were you doing coaching at the time, and productivity was a niche that you didn't know that you had, or what were you doing at the time?
I transitioned when I tried to grow my photography business. I became a speaker. But then when people tell me you're a really dynamic speaker, I didn't want to speak on photography. So I came up with a couple other topics. And before productivity even entered the realm of my brain. And then when the coach said productivity, I'm like, huh. And then so I started, researching productivity. I'm like, oh, I already do that. I do that. It was so natural to me. So that's why I became a productivity expert. And I love what I do.
That's awesome. And I love hearing the backstory behind it. And what I heard as a theme there too is something we hear from other people. Somebody saw something in you that you didn't even see in yourself, but as soon as they said it, you had that aha moment, right, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah. So great. So let's jump in. Let's talk. This conversation today is about your productivity is your responsibility. And I have to admit, Mark, I was a little nervous coming into the conversation here today because I'm like, I don't want Mark to productivity shame me. But I feel like I'm productive. I could probably learn more from you. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you and give us some tips on productivity here today.
Productivity shaming. That's a topic for a training I could do. Productivity shaming. I'll have you on as a guest. Just kidding. So like when I first got into productivity, the thing I always struggle with is people make things overly complex. I mean, really too complex. And I want people to understand that the best way to become more productive is to keep things simple. And it all starts with me. It all starts with planning your day. As a matter of fact, I have a saying, tell your time where to go instead of wondering where it went. So I don't care if you use an electronic calendar or a planner or both. You need to tell your time where to go. Now, we all have things on our calendar, like this was already on my calendar. Right before this one, I had a podcast interview on my show. I got a LinkedIn Live later today. That was already on my schedule. But what I tell people to do is determine how many hours you're going to work on a particular day. So today I work mainly 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. So let's say that's 8 hours. I think it's 8 hours. 7 hours. So 7 hours, I already have 3 hours allocated for interviews. So what am I going to put in those other 4 hours? And most people make the mistake of Brenda is they don't put anything in those 4 hours. They just go, well, there's nothing scheduled. I'm sure I'll do something. And that's a recipe for disaster. What you need to do is say, okay, what am I going to put in these extra hours? And I don't know what to put there. Well, what are your goals? Because when you have your goals feed into the activities that get you to those goals. So what do you need to do? If you need to know how to get better at LinkedIn, are you going to allocate time to learn LinkedIn today? Oh yeah, put it on your schedule, because we all heard the saying, what gets scheduled gets done. And so the number one tip I give people is make sure you schedule and plan your days. And when I say plan your days, I mean 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 during leap years. Now some people are going to say, well, you're saying Christmas, on vacation, on Sundays? Yes. Yeah. You may have nothing on your schedule. You may say, going to be binge watching Netflix all day, but be purposeful.
But schedule that in.
What's that?
But schedule that in. If you want to binge watch Netflix, put that on your schedule, right?
Exactly. Because what it does is it tells your subconscious mind, you're not just doing it reactively. You're saying, okay, I am going to watch, for me, Sundays are football days. So I usually watch 2 games on Sunday. Okay. So I know on Sundays, I'm going to be watching football. A lot of people only put the real appointments on their calendar, and they don't put like personal development or breaks or exercise or meditation or anything. They just put like the interviews or the coaching calls or going to the doctor. You should fill out your schedule for the hours you're going to work, so you're holding yourself accountable.
Okay. Now, is this something you even do yourself, and do you slip from your schedule? I mean, I that's the question that's coming to mind for me right now as you're talking about this.
If you would ask my wife, she would say, yes, the nerd does schedule his days 7 days a week. I use Brendan Burchard's high performance planner. I've been using it every day since January 4th, 2019. Okay. Every single day, because there's something magical about writing down what you're doing every day. Now, I'll be honest with you, on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays and stuff like that, I'm more reactive. So what I do is, as I'm going through my day, I will write down what I'm doing, because I think it shows you something when you go back and go, wow, I didn't do anything on Sunday. I just watched football all day, and I feel kind of guilty about that. And so, but a lot of people keep things in their head. Okay. And we're like, we try to rationalize. We try to tell ourselves story. Well, I didn't waste that much time. Dude, you watched 3 football games. They're 3 hours each. That's 9 hours. But you keep it in your head and you say, well, I only watched a little bit of the game. No, you didn't. And so I think people would get a good start if they would take the time to tell their time where to go.
Okay. So you talked about we could do this on an electronic calendar or planner or a printed one. You use a printed one, or is it an electronic one that you use?
I use both. So I will plan on my Brendan Bashar high performance planner first, and then I transfer it to my iPhone. There's something very powerful about you taking one of these things. And if you don't know what this is, go Google it. It's called a pen. Okay. Then you get your, we have a different audience today. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I have.
I pulled it up on screen because I kind of like keeping things in a notepad, but I like, hearing that this is something you use because you're Mr. Productivity. So I kind of feel like you vetted it. And guys, this is not product placement by any means. I didn't know he was going to talk about this, but I pulled it up on screen. So this is what you're using right here, right?
Yes. What I do is I have tried so many different planners, and this is an affiliate. If you go buy this on Amazon, I don't get anything out of it. But I tell you, this is an incredible planner. If you're going to go this way, don't buy the single one. You can usually get like a whole year for like $45. They're like $17, $18 individually. I've been using it every day since January 4th, 2019, every single day. Now, I would not waste my time or my money to recommend something that is not worth. Okay. So to me, this works because here's how it works is that in the morning, you've got 10 morning prompts because Brendan teaches how to start your day intentionally. And then in the evening, he asks you to reflect on the day. What happened that was good today. And then at the end of the week, you reflect on your week. At the end of the month, you reflect on the month. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just keep moving forward, but you got to look backwards and say, hey, what did I do well? What didn't do well? What lessons did I learn? So I really endorse this planner. Brendan doesn't even know who I am. Okay. He does not know who I am.
Have you had him on your show yet? Because I feel like
Brendan has been
on your show.
Brendan has been rated by Oprah Winfrey. You probably heard of her as the #1 world's trainer. Okay. Brendan is so popular that unless you pay him a lot of money, you're not going to get close to him, or if you're a friend of his. And I respect that because I hope I'm bigger than Brendan one day. That's my goal. Okay. And that's why I'm doing so much every day to push myself to be as good as Brendan. Brendan's awesome. Brendan's not really big on LinkedIn, by the way. He's huge on Facebook.
50,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm like, he's like a mortal human being. We could reach out. We could get him on the show, right?
He has got like 5 million people on Facebook and like a million. He's a big personality. I mean, huge. And I respect him because I model a lot of things I do after what he does because he's very successful. And we're both annoyingly optimistic and we're both very happy. We both love what we do. I would love to meet him someday, but I haven't met him yet. Someday I will.
Okay.
But he's not a god. I don't want you to think he's not a god.
Brendan's at home saying, I want to meet Mr. Productivity himself, Mark Struczewski someday. Maybe he's saying that right now, right?
It could be. Maybe he's waiting for that phone call. I don't know. Let's be optimistic about this.
Love it. So you talked about your planner. You have, the planner that you're using for time management. And you said you use both a combination of print and online. When you say online, is there an online version, or are you just using like your Google Calendar for that?
Well, I use Google Calendar, but I use an iOS Mac only app called Fantastical. Okay. I love it because it's the app that Apple should actually buy. It's an incredible app. It's got everything in there. I kind of love it because one of the things I love to do is I love working in 50-minute increments as much as I can. Now, this interview, you allocated an hour. My coaching calls go for 45 minutes. But if I can, I do 50-minute increments. And I got this from Brendan. So what Brendan does, that every 50 minutes, he stands up. And so what I did is I took that and I said, okay, on my Apple Watch from 8:50 to 5:50, it goes off at 50 minutes past the hour. And it said, that's my cue to stop what I'm doing, to get up, walk around, get the blood flowing. And so when I'm scheduling my time, I will schedule like from 9 to 9:50. And then for the last 10 minutes, I go play with the dog, hang out with my wife, whatever the case may be. We need to have these breaks. Now, you may not do the 50-minute Pomodoro technique. Maybe you do 45-15. Maybe you do 52-17. Maybe you do 35. Whatever works for you. But I think you need to have regular breaks built into your schedule. Because if you don't, the longer you go, your efficiency starts to tank, and you need to take a break. And I tell people, if you're at the home stretch, you can see the end of the project. You're almost there, but you're kind of tired. You're like, oh, I'm almost there. Stop, get up, do some jumping jacks, do some meditation. When you come back, you're going to cross the finish line much better than if you push that last few yards.
Okay, awesome. I'm already feeling more productive just listening to you, Mark. And I don't feel ashamed. Like I was worried. I was like, Mark's gonna put me on the spot and tell me all the things I'm doing wrong.
I heal you. I heal you.
But it's funny because a few years back I was earning my master's degree and working full time, 2 kids, and the only time I had it was a demanding job. The only time I had to do my studies was like at night after the kids were in bed or the weekends, and I would go to like Panera on the Saturday and like knock off my homework. But even then, it was like really hard to keep productive. And when I was at home, I would literally grab my timer on my phone and I would set my timer for 30 minutes and I'd be like, okay, I'm doing finance for 30 minutes. And it was like finance was painful for me, you guys. I'm a marketer. That was painful, but it worked. And it's like, oh, I used to do that. That's a great tip. So I'm already learning great tips from you, Mark. So this is awesome.
Well, I'm glad I'm helping. And I will tell people I love saying pushing a rope. Too many people are trying to put a square peg in a round hole. They're trying to push the rope. And I'm like, if it's not working for you, I don't have all the answers. I always answer questions when people ask me, what would you do in this situation? I always say, this is what I would do. May not work for you. Now, my wife and I are empty nesters. Our daughters are 27 and 22. They're out of the house. Okay. So I used to say they're gone, but then people thought they were dead. They're not dead. They're out of the house. Just wanted to clarify that. And so my day looks much different. Our kid is a 40-pound 2-year-old puppy. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's our kid. And she's low maintenance. Like she just sleeps all the time. So my days look differently. So when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I am a 5 a.m.er. I get up, I read my Bible, devotion, do my planner, and then my wife and I go for a run. And that's what works for me. Now, if you've got 6 kids and they get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's a little bit different. So what you need to do, what I always tell people, take what I say, take what Brendan says, take what other people say, and go, okay, let me take a little bit from here, like a buffet. I'll take a little from here, a little from here, a little from here. I don't have all the answers. I'm just sharing what works for me and what I found didn't work. And then you could take that and learn from it.
I love that. And what works for you doesn't work for everyone is what I'm hearing as a takeaway. And you and I, it's funny because I started becoming an early morning person. I'm actually in a productivity clinic or an accountability clinic, I should say, at 6:30 every morning from 6:30 to 7. And you and I have started communicating like at 7 in the morning. I think like one day you're like messaging me. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's on right now. And you're like replying right back. And
no, it was at 5:30 this morning at 5:30. I sent you a DM and you emailed. I'm like, oh, wow, this is kind of weird.
I know. It's like we're on the same, but I found I'm starting to learn to my body's cycle in terms of when am I most productive. And especially through COVID, Mark, you probably, and maybe you haven't because you're a Mr. Productivity, but other people are feeling like their productivity is slipping. And I feel some days I'm so bogged down with this feeling of nothingness is the best way I can describe it. I know what I need to do. I have my to-do list. I have my tasks. I even have post-it notes like, do this and you will get paid, like in front of me. And I can't get the things done. And I get to the end of the day and I'm like, why didn't I get anything done today? And a bit of it is this overwhelming feeling of, what we can't control in the world. And then we stand up, and I do this myself, stay up later and later watching TV because I'm taking control of my night back. And then I start getting up later and later in the morning and my day started slipping. So now I realize if I get up at 6:30, I reset my clock. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Mark, I need a nap. Every day I need a nap. From 3 to 5, I am brain dead. If you guys reach out to me from 3 to 5, I'm not going to be of any use to anybody. But 5 o'clock, I get my second win, and then I can go for the rest of the day, right?
Let me talk about naps. Okay, there's nothing wrong with taking a nap. Dr. Matthew Walker's got a great book, Why We Sleep. Naps are good. Matter of fact, if you read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, he talks about Winston Churchill and Teddy Roosevelt used to take naps during the day. The key is it should only be about 30 to 45 minutes long, and you should be up and at them by 3 p.m. Now, for me, it's got to be 1 o'clock. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock at night. So take a short nap. If you're feeling it, take a nap. I wouldn't take a nap at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock because it's gonna affect you going to sleep at night. So take naps are okay. Now, some days I take naps, some days I don't take naps. Okay. The other night we had a problem with our car, and I was, when you're really stressed and anxious, you get to sleep. I didn't sleep real well, so I took a nap the next day. It's okay. Naps are okay. Now, if you take a 4-hour nap, that's a problem because
that's sleeping.
That's sleeping. Yeah, exactly. So, and you may not be able to take a nap, but sometimes, like for my wife, she just lays in bed and just lays there. And sometimes just being quiet for 30 minutes is just as effective.
Yeah. And that's something I actually did last week. It was in the afternoon and it was like, I think I had a 3 o'clock phone call. So I left my office to take the phone call. I sat on the couch and then afterwards I just melted into the couch and closed my eyes and I didn't sleep, But after those, 15, 20 minutes, I got up and I felt refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that's okay then, as long as I didn't nap, right? Good to hear. So what else can you offer us in terms of, I mean, you're talking about your productivity is your responsibility. And I want to kind of change the focus a little bit, your responsibility. So, whether you work for yourself or you work for your boss, I mean, it's up to us to control this level of productivity is what you're saying, right?
Yes. And one of the biggest things, there's two big things I talk about all the time is distractions. People always ask me, how do I deal with distractions? And I said, well, first of all, we all have to be on social media because we need to, promote our brand, promote our business. But how long do you need to be on social media? Yeah. And what is your purpose? Because there's two ways to be on social media, as you know, Brenda. Mm-hmm. You can consume, just endlessly scroll and look at all the cute pictures on Instagram, whatever, or you could be adding to the conversation. Now, if you're adding to the conversation through posts like videos or text posts, or if you're giving quality comments, that's okay. But still, that's got to be limited, because unless every time you leave a comment or post something, people are sending you lots of money, you need to be doing some needle moving activities. Now, I certainly think if you're building a business brand, you need to schedule time to be on social media. I have an appointment on my calendar every day. It's called content creation / LinkedIn. That is the time I go on LinkedIn for up to 50 minutes. And I engage, and I post, and I try to add value to people. But I also have to do other things. Like I run my own LinkedIn lives. I have my own podcast. I've got coaching. I'm about ready. I just launched a brand new coaching program. So I can't spend all my time on social media. And I don't think the problem people are having is with engaging on social media. It's the endlessly scrolling, because social media came up with endlessly scrolling. They just want to keep scrolling and scrolling. That's why YouTube says, hey, Brenda, you like these videos? Here's 17 more you like. And you just keep going one video after other. So most people on this live or watching later are probably adults, and we have to practice adulting. Okay. I know it's hard. It's hard to say, but this is an iPhone, and it's got a little power button. Yeah. If I turn the power off, guess what happens? It shuts off.
No.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I am in control. And when I see people like, I can't not text, I can't not be on social media, I'm like, give me your phone. I turn it off, and they're like, what'd you do? Is it bothering you now?
Yeah.
And then they get it. Okay. So if you feel social media is out of control, here's what I want you to do. First of all, turn off all notifications for social media. Turn every single one of them off. Mm-hmm. Second thing I want you to do, I want you to put all those social media apps in one folder and drag that folder to a screen far, far away from your first one. Yep. Now, if that doesn't work, I want you to delete the apps on your phone. Delete the apps on your phone. And if that doesn't work, we'll go scorched earth. I want you to delete your accounts. Actually, delete the accounts. If you have that big a problem, and then you can go back to your account again. Now, most people don't have to go that last route. But the problem is, it's not Mark Zuckerberg's fault you're addicted to Facebook.
Right. It's there. Yeah, it's something we're leaning into, and we're making choices. And I have to echo what you said, Mark. I mean, I do LinkedIn for a living. I do LinkedIn strategy. I mean, this is my business. I am not on LinkedIn 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. I have all of the social media apps on my phone. I don't have any notifications enabled because I control when I go out onto the platforms. Even I am following Mark's advice, you guys. So yes, it is possible. Yes, you can build a living on social media and still not live on social media. But I've always tell people I'm very strategic about the time that I spend, and it sounds like you are as well. Mm-hmm. Whether it's giving yourself a time block or giving yourself tasks that you do. I'm going to go out and spend 15 minutes in my homepage feed and like or react to 10 different posts and leave comments on 3. I'm going to check my messages, and then I'm going to leave LinkedIn. But I go in with a plan. I get distracted sometimes, I'll admit. Shiny object syndrome. Like, oh, look, Mark's doing a LinkedIn Live. And then I'll pull it up, and hey, from Metro Detroit, it's Brenda joining, Yeah. But, on the whole, guys, I completely agree, Mark. You have to learn how to control those cravings, if you will, to just be on all the time, right?
Yeah, and I one of the productivity hacks that people they forget about is there's something called a timer on every phone. Mm-hmm. And so what you can do if you want to go spend time on social media, set your timer for like 15 minutes and then do whatever you want for 15 minutes. But when that timer goes off, you get off of social media immediately. You don't say, well, just 2 more minutes. No, you get off of social media. The problem is people are like, but I'm in a great conversation. Okay, are they paying you money to be in part of the conversation? Because I don't know about you, Brenda, but I can't go to my mortgage lender and say, hey, listen, I got 17 more followers today and I got 4 comments on my post. And I'm like, yeah, we need the cash. Okay. They need the money, so we need to make money. So you have to practice adulting. You have to say, look, I spent enough on social media. Now I have to go do something else. Don't let social media be the boss. And if you turn off all notifications, which you should, when you go back in the app, everything's still going to be there. So you're not going to miss anything. And I promise you, Mark Zuckerberg and all the other owners of the social media apps, they're not going to come to your house and say, Brenda, why'd you turn off social media?
What happened? What did we do? Or was it something we said?
So it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I love when you say hacks. So give us some more of your productivity hacks, Mark. And then we're going to open this up for Q&A in about 5 minutes, guys. So if you have a question for Mark, enter it now in comments. And whether you're watching live or in playback, even if you're watching playback, a week from now, still leave it in comments. I'll make sure Mark gets to see your question. But give us some more of your productivity hacks, Mark. There's so many good things you've given us.
Well, they're all secrets. I can't tell the whole world. No, I'm just kidding.
And we're done.
So I would drop my mic, but it's on the boom. Okay. So let's talk about routines. Everyone says, oh, you got to have a morning routine. But the morning routine starts the night before. Okay. When I tell people that, they're like, starts the night before. Here's why. Because you need to cut those screens off at least 60 minutes before you turn lights out. Okay. Preferably longer. If you can go 2 hours, great. Okay. So that means TV, it means phone, tablets, everything. The only exception is your Apple Watch, because obviously you're going to wear it to bed. Yeah. So, and you don't look at, you can't do a lot on the Apple Watch. So you turn it off. So what I do around 8:30, I stop watching TV. I go brush my teeth and I go in the bed and I read a print book. Now, you can read a print book, you can read a print magazine, or you can read a book on the old Kindle. Well, not the old Kindle, the actual Kindle, not the Kindle app on your iPad, which is blue light. Okay.
The blue light. Yeah.
My body knows when I pick up that print book. I used to read an hour before bed. Now it's like 15 minutes. My body goes, oh, okay. He's reading a book. It's time to go to sleep. And I used to go to bed at 9:45, 9:30, 9:15. Now it's like 9 o'clock. My body knows that book is for going to bed.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about going to bed. Now, you should have a dark room. You should have a cool room. You have a comfortable mattress. And for me, I have this thing. I got to have air moving around. So it could be 30 degrees in the wintertime in Houston. I got to have the ceiling fan on. I've got to have air moving it. Now, air not moving drives me crazy. And I know it's the family broadcast. I want to tell you, there's only 2 things you should be doing in bed. Sex and sleeping, okay? Not composing email, not checking your social media feed. If you're not making babies or not having fun, or if you're not sleeping, get out of bed, okay? Right. And speaking of getting out of bed, if you cannot sleep, okay? If you're tossing and turning, here's what I want you to do. Get out of bed, because tossing and turning is not going to get you to sleep. Okay. I want you to get out of bed, and I'm in my bedroom. I've got a nightstand that's got a 40-watt yellow light bulb. It's really important. It's yellow, not that bright sunshine light. And I will get out of bed and I will read. Okay. I will read. Sometimes if I got a lot of thoughts going through my head, just reading maybe a page of the book, my brain, it's enough for my brain to disconnect from whatever worrying, and then go back to bed. But tossing and turning is never going to get you to bed. Some people get up, they write in their journal, they write in their gratitude journal, or maybe they'll meditate, or maybe they pray. But tossing and turning is not going to solve the problem. You need to get out of bed, but don't do anything that's real strenuous. Don't go washing the dishes. Don't turn all the lights on in your house, because then you're going to wake your body up. You want to do just enough. The whole point is to disconnect your body from the anxiety, because I don't know about you, when I can't fall asleep, the worst thing I can do, if I look at my clock and I go, oh my gosh, it's 9:30. Oh my gosh, it's 10. It's 10:30. And then you start doing the math. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I get 5 hours of sleep. I get 4 hours of sleep.
And then it gets worse and worse and worse. And then, so now if you get a good night's sleep, and you should get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep, 7 days a week. And by the way, the body loves consistency. So I'm in bed between 9 and 9:30 every night, up at 5 a.m., 7 days a week. The body loves consistency. Now, when you wake up, you should have a routine. Like I said, I get up in the morning, I read my Bible, I read a devotion, I do my planner, then I go for my run. Okay. You should have a routine that you do every day, not one routine on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday. Have a consistent routine, because just like the book tells my body it's time to go to sleep. This routine tells my body it's time for the day. So bedtime routine, good quality sleep, morning routine.
I love it. So Mark, you talked about your planner. When do you write in your planner? When do you update your planner? Do you do that?
I write in my planner around 5:15 in the morning.
Okay.
And I have it on my calendar for 4:00 in the afternoon for me to do the reflection on the day.
Okay.
My biggest struggle is when it's the end of the week and the end of the month, the same day, because I got to do the weekly reflection, the monthly reflection, and the day reflection. So that's like, oh, I hate those days. They take a lot. Yeah, they do.
I like it though. Often. I think I'm actually going to look up the planner myself because I'm intrigued by the process, and I really like the structure. And I like the fact that it's not just planning, but it's also reflecting on the successes and probably some of the challenges, I would imagine too, right? Yeah.
You will really enjoy the planner. So let me know if you get it. Let me know if you like it.
All right. Awesome. I'll definitely look that up. All right, guys. So I want to move into Q&A now. So if you haven't had a chance to yet, if you have a question for Mark, please drop it in the comments below. And we're going to start to pull your comments and questions up on screen here. And hey, look who we dragged in on the broadcast here. Yeah. Jeff, it's so nice to see you, Jeff. Hopefully you were on from the beginning. We actually did give you a shout out in the beginning, and nice to see you on the session. Jeff's a fellow rock star. Have you met Jeff in person, or how do you guys know each other?
No, but he was on my LinkedIn Live a couple weeks ago. I got to have the guy who gave me LinkedIn Live. Who gave me Mr. Productivity on LinkedIn Live. It's only right. It must be some kind of law.
That's right. It's the reciprocity and you know, all the good things, right? So Brian has a question for us. And Brian, I see you have this, let me go over here. Your LinkedIn photo here is the gray avatar. There's something with your privacy settings. I would recommend you make it public. I can help you with that. Let me know if you need help. But Brian has a question. If the majority of my work surrounds LinkedIn, is there a method to keep this in check? What are your thoughts there?
Yes. Schedule it. Okay. You need to schedule. Like I use the 50-minute increment thing. So you might want to do 50 minutes of LinkedIn and take 10 minutes off. You may work on it for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break, go work on something else. You do need to step away. Now, whether that's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the case may be, you can't work on the same thing for long periods of time. Neuroscience has shown us that your brain's efficiency will decrease. So find a way to get away. When I say get away, Brian, I mean, you actually get up from wherever you are and you walk away. You get that blood moving. Maybe you take a walk outside, walk the dog, do something. It'll really affect you. It really improve your productivity. Okay.
So another question. I'm not sure who this person is because you're private. We only see LinkedIn user. But the person is saying, how do you help people that don't function at 5 a.m.? Because when I heard like Mark gets up at 5, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get up at 6:20 and I start my call at 6:30. I'm like, that's enough for me. I'm like wide awake enough, but I don't think I could function at 5. But what are your thoughts there, Mark, on do you know when your peak productivity time is? That why you get up earlier, and advice for folks there?
Yeah, I will tell you, I fought for the longest time. Okay, the longest time I fought getting up early. You know, because Tim Cook gets up at 3:50 in the morning. By the way, I did email Tim Cook at 5 o'clock in the morning at my time, which is 3 o'clock in the morning his time, and he actually got the email. So if you want to know the story, I'll tell you. And I say, okay, all these people get up early. So I read Robin Sharma's great book. I highly recommend it. It's called The 5 a.m. Club, and it's a parable. And so I read the story. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it. And to my delight, my wife tried it as well. And so we started getting at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, the first couple of weeks were like zombie land. But once I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I found myself more effective. But I still maintain not everybody should be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. If your optimal time is 10 to 3, then you do you. Okay. You don't say I would never say to you, LinkedIn user, I would never say to you that your optimal time is 10 to 3. You're a loser. Get up at 5 o'clock. I would never say that. If 10 to 3 is your magic time, you get up whenever you get up and then work 10 to 3. If that's your magic time, there is no guarantee or magic sauce of getting up at the crack of dawn. I am done with my run. I've run, let's see. I want to make this real time here. Brenda. So as of today, I've run every day for 1,114 days in a row.
Wow.
Since February 4th, I've been getting my run in before the sunrise. So I beat the sun up in a run, but that may not be you. And that's okay. Yeah. That's okay if you don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So do you, that's the important thing.
Yeah. Good point there. And I would love to run. I always admired people that ran, and tried to run track in high school, and I never could kind of get past the wall of the pain and and then I started, I did cheerleading and track in high school. So when I get older, as I was getting older, my knees would start to have problems, and I'm like, I don't think I want to pound on my joints anymore. So I do walks. That's what I do in the morning.
That's fine.
But I do walks with hand weights. So I've got, the power walking thing going there, and that works for me. So to your point, do what works for you.
Absolutely.
So here's a good question. And I have to echo the sentiment, because I used to do planners a lot more when I worked in corporate, and I have like all my old planners in a closet. So I keep mine. I'm like, I don't know why I keep them, because I guess every now and again, it's nice to flip through them. But what about you, Mark? Do you keep your old planners?
Let me show you.
I love when people go off camera for these things too. This is real, guys. This is unscripted. Real live people. I love it.
Does this answer your question?
Wow. Are those the planners that you purchased from the Brendan Burchard library there?
You see the date? I don't know if you can see that. Can you see
the
dates?
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, the dates 2019, 2020. That's really cool.
So I've gone through 7. I'm on my 8th. No, I've gone through 8. I'm on my 9th one right now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yes, I do save my planner. Now I've not gone back. I'm out of breath. I was trying to do it really quickly.
I'm sure you really are running, but yeah, moving from the back of the room, coming back, he's like,
they were right back there, so I wanted to grab them for you. I've not gone back through them, and I should go through them and look at them, especially January 4th, 2019 when I started, because I got a feeling that I probably did a lot of weird stuff back then. It's a lot different, but yes, I do save my planners, and so the answer is yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Brian, he commends you. Dedication there. I'm guessing on both the time element and keeping things. And Pamela English, I feel you on this one, girl. Been running for 40. Oh, I thought she said been running late, but she said been running. I misconstrued what she said there. But she's been running for 40 years. So, Mark, were you a younger runner as well in high school? Were you a runner? Did you run track or cross country?
No. I used to play little guy soccer, and I used to hate running around the field. But you know what got me started in running is during Hurricane Harvey back in 2017. We were flooded for like 3 days where my wife and I live. Our house wasn't flooded, but the street had 3 feet of water in it. And I read an article on runnersworld.com that said, something along the lines of what I've learned from running a 1 mile a day every day. And I'm like, I could run every day.
Yeah.
And so I started August 29th, 2017. I started running, and one day became 10 became 100. Now I'm up to 1,114 days in a row. And I'm not trying to impress anyone. People go, it's a lot. The guy with the longest running streak has been running since May 26, 1969, when I was like 4 years old. So, but I run because I love running. Okay. Yeah. I'm not training for a marathon. People go, well, do you take days off? No, because the counter starts over at 1. I'm not going to start. I've run when I was sick. I've run when I had physical issues, which I probably shouldn't have, but I still ran. Some days I run fast. Some days I run slow, but now I got one of these Apple Watches. I close my rings every day, and I love running for the joy of running. Not trying to impress anyone.
I could go outside right now, Mark, and I could run a block to the end of my street, and I could check off my list that I ran today. And I would not be Miss Productivity, but I could have an accomplishment just like you. And it kind of reminds me of those companies that say how many days they've been accident free.
Yeah.
It's a sign of pride, right? It's a sign of accomplishment. It's we've kept focus on doing the right thing for so long. And for you, it's a badge of courage, right?
Yeah, but the run streak, technically, according to the rules, the run streak says you got to run at least 1 mile every day.
Oh, okay.
Not a block, 1 mile. But it takes me about.
I wouldn't count. Technicality.
They can't run to the bathroom. That's not what they're calling about.
You can't run and get a stack of books and come back to your.
No, that does not count.
Awesome. Well, Mark, this has been such an awesome conversation today, and I want to be respectful of your time. I actually started making these broadcasts 45 minutes, so we're going to start to kind of wrap now, so I can hopefully keep you to your 10-minute mark to get you back on your 15-minute mark for your conversation. But as we start to wrap here today, I want to pull up your LinkedIn URL up on screen here, Mark. And are you open to accepting connections from folks that are watching the broadcast?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, one of my goals is, now you'll notice the first thing you see is a follow option. I'm really trying to get to 20,000 followers by the end of the year. I'm at 9,500 right now, 9,400, something like that. So I want to get to 20,000. I really, really love connecting with people. So do send me a LinkedIn connection request, and bonus points if you personalize it.
There you go. And I always tell people personalizing does not mean saying things like, Wow, crazy times we're having here today. Your profile looked interesting to me. I started doing this thing, Mark, where I now, when I get these, what they look like templated messages sent to me, I reply back with 4 letters. TEST, test. That's all I say back. And, most of them ignore it. And I do get I had a couple really entertaining exchanges with people today. And I had one person replying back saying, this is a test of the emergency broadcast system. And they launched into this little funny thing. I'm like, we got a conversation going back and forth. But, what I love about your LinkedIn profile, Mark, and you guys can see it up on screen, several things. I love the fact that he's got a nice, cool header on here. Right away, I'm like, that appeals to me as an entrepreneur. I want to reach out to Mark and say, how can you help me save at least an hour a day? And it appeals to me directly. I love the fact that he has the phonetic spelling. Are you guys loving this right now? Pronounced Struczewski.
That's because of Brenda. Brenda gave me the idea. Full credit.
And we were joking in the pre-show, Mark, and I was like patting myself on the back a little bit because it helped me to remember. Like, how do I say his name every time I have it on there? But definitely, guys, if you watch this show, follow Mark. But then if you do want to invite him to connect, mention that you saw him on the show. Mention one of the tips that was particularly helpful for you.
And by the way, I want to thank you for the headshot, because my headshot was like further zoomed out.
You were like this, right? And now you're like this.
Yes.
Right?
And you told me, because you told me LinkedIn has got 3 sizes, and I did not know this. Your picture is going to be sized 3 different sizes. And if it's just like, if you're zoomed out and you have a small size, they can't see you. So that's another tip I got for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's great when I connect with people and I'm like, I learned from you, you learned from me. I love the energy that we're kind of feeding back and forth with here. And as we wrap here today, Mark, any final tips you'd like to offer to the group, things you're working on right now? You want to tell us about your website, anything else?
Yes, I'm pleased with my website. I've worked really hard on it. So if you just go to mrproductivity.com and let me know what you think of it, I would love to know. A couple things I'm working on this Friday. I'm doing a live training. It's going to be all about, love that headshot right there. Hey, I want to get people to stop my website enough to go, what is this video all about?
I just watched the video, like as I was getting everything loaded today, I just watched the video. It's actually a really cool message, and it's only like 2 minutes. It's quick.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes.
Go and watch it. Yeah.
So this Friday, I'm doing a live training all about planning, the why and the how. Now, full disclosure, it's only $10, but if you show up and you say to the very end, you get entered in the drawing to win 1 month coaching with me. So that's going to happen this Friday at noon Eastern. The other thing I just rolled out, I'm still working on the sales page, is digital productivity coaching. It's where you can get coaching from me all on an app. So you don't get personal access to me, but it's really affordable. It's only like $29 a month. And those are the 2 things I'm really working on yet. I worked on that page really hard. Like that graphic there.
Yeah, it's cool. No, I like it. Yeah, it looks like this is something that you created from scratch, right? I'm just joking right now.
No, this is Webinar Ninja. So no.
Hey, you got to have hacks for productivity, but it does what it needs to do. It's simplistic. And as a marketer, I have to say, I love that it's a clear focus. And I actually love the use of white space on here my eyes are drawn to the red. So I think the visual is really nicely done in there. Well, Mark, this has just been a delight having the opportunity to talk with you today. I just want to say thank you again for coming on. I learned some great things. I think I'm going to go buy the planner after we get off the session here today. So thank you so much for being on today.
My pleasure. And when we're done, I'm going to send you a link so you can be on my LinkedIn Live, because I love your personality. I love your attitude. And I'd love you having my show. You're already on my podcast, which, by the way, if you go to my website and click on the podcast, get the direct link. Go listen to Brenda's episode on my podcast. It was stellar, and I highly recommend it.
Awesome. And Mark, I just remembered one thing I want to try before we leave here today. So we both use StreamYard. We both do LinkedIn Live. And I told you this in the pre-show, I can flip-flop the order.
Yep.
Look at that. And I haven't tried this in a live stream yet, because now, normally I'm like pointing at my guest this way. I'm like, now I have to point, the other direction over here.
Yeah, but see, right now, what's really weird, I'm pointing to my left, which is weird.
It's backwards. Well, that didn't work. He's still in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I could say high five you. So we can high five.
Awesome. I'll make that the still for us on YouTube here today. All right, Mark, thank you so much for being on. It was a pleasure. I look forward to being on your show. And I want to thank everybody that's watching here today. If you could do me 2 favors before you leave, 2 favors, I'm holding up my finger here. One is, after you leave the video, immediately go back into the video. I'm going to take off the ticker and put it into large screen mode here. And please share the video with someone. You can click to share it on LinkedIn. That counts as your post for today, or on Facebook, or you can grab the YouTube link and share it out. or you could like email or message it to someone, because maybe you know somebody in your life who is struggling with productivity right now in this COVID fog we're all in, right? And maybe in business in general, that tip can help them. The other thing is, if you could please go to mellermarketing.com/subscribe. You can join my VIP email list where you'll get LinkedIn strategy tips as well as notification for upcoming LinkedIn live shows. And that's it for me, sir. Thank you, Mark, for being on. Looking forward to seeing you online. And what's next for you? What's on your agenda next for the day?
For today, I'm going to be working on my sales page for my digital productivity coaching program.
Awesome. Well,
it's actually on my schedule. It's not up here.
It's in your planner, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
All right. Well, on that note, guys, stay productive and stay healthy and safe out there. Thank you so much for watching, and looking forward to seeing you guys again live later on in the week. Take care, everyone.
Bye.